Welcome to Death and Aliens, an in-depth look at horror and sci-fi TV from two friends who vaguely know what they're doing. I'm MK,
And I'm Courtney.
and Courtney, how are you?
Well, I was just scrolling through my time hop, as you do.
Yeah.
Turns out today, 2 years ago is when I tried to cut my thumb off.
Oh,
Um,
good.
so happy anniversary to me still having a thumb. Good times. And I got all of my talking points mixed up, so I actually meant to talk about this next week, but then I was mixed up. So now it's in a sci-fi episode. But I am excited for Halloween and horror, and I know that that is not the topic of the
It's
week.
fine.
But I have been thinking about all these new movies coming out. I am very much intending to do 31 Days of Halloween again,
Okay.
horror films. Shudder just released this
Yes.
compilation of 101 scariest moments from horror. And I have given my friend Dom my login to Shudder so he can go watch it for me and tell me if it like ruins the plot of the movie or if it's just
Mm,
like typical stuff I already know. Like I haven't seen Poltergeist, but I know about the whole TV widescreen thing, like
right.
and stuff like that. And like I hadn't seen Psycho and I knew what happened, like stuff like that. But I don't want to be completely ruined on like horror movies I do plan to watch at some point.
Right.
So I'm having him review for me and tell me if I can watch it now. But
Perfect.
I'm just ready. I'm ready for all things scary. I'm planning trips to go. The Haunted Soiree is coming back to the city again. And then there's this like creepy forest still in New Jersey. I am just like ready. I am over summer. I am over heat. I am over people thinking they're doing nice things instead of scary things. And I just want horror.
Well,
Yes.
I am going to a Halloween party with Dan.
Mhm.
And I have never like attempted to actually do a legitimate couple's costume before. And I'm very much leaning towards Morticia and Gomez.
I love it. I love it. Although I will say, I think there's going to be a lot of Morticias and Gomez this year with the new
Right, because the
season.
new one, there's a new one coming out. So it's like back on, which is really like not fair because like that's my aesthetic all of the
Right,
time.
of course. Yeah.
Like, and like he's like weird and funny, but like ridiculously devoted to me and like not who you would have expected me, the Princess of Darkness, to end up with. So like we are Morticia and Gomez, like in real life.
Mhm.
So, but no, but you're right. Like that's gonna be like the number one costume this year, and I don't want to
Mhm.
do that.
Right.
So now I have to figure out what to do.
Mhm. Yeah, I don't know what I'm doing for a costume. My
But
my mom had a
also
choice kind of
his
hard.
family is a little more conservative in like culture than not like in politics, but like in cultural than mine. So like I jokingly was like, so no Princess Leia slave costume, like uh so I'm like, how do I do a sexy couples costume without being like trashy, but also without being like overplayed? So I'm like really torn right now. And my students all voted for Marcia and Gomez. They're like, no, that
Well,
is
of
you and Miss,
course.
because they're
Right.
like, no, like literally that is you and Mr. J. And I was like,
Yeah. I mean, yeah, you're not wrong. But you just
so
don't look the same as everyone else.
yeah, so like if you guys have suggestions,
I have a
please.
suggestion.
Okay.
You could be Milo and what is her name?
Kita.
Yeah.
Yeah, but like Kita doesn't literally wear any clothing.
Okay.
Her outfit is the Princess Leia slave costume in white instead of gold.
Right. Right. But that would not be overplayed
It wouldn't be.
and it would still be good. We'll think it over.
We'll think about it. We have got time. The party is a late Halloween party, so it's actually in November.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So you've got like a month and a half or 2 months to figure it out still. Yeah.
right.
Excellent.
Yeah. Somehow I feel like Jessica Rabbit probably also not going to be ideal.
Maybe not. Not this year at least.
Right.
Give it some time.
Right.
We'll figure it out.
We'll figure it out. That wasn't really the story I was going to share about my life. But honestly, it was the first week of school. My kids were literally exactly as obnoxious as I expected them to be. I started the first day of school, the first day of classes, and I said, "All right." And I shut the classroom door and I said, "What do you got? Give it to me. Tell me everything you got to say. Say it all. Say it all now because today's the only day you're allowed to be stupid about it." And then we're moving on.
I love it.
One of my kids told me that we were her 13th reason.
I have not seen that show, so
Me
I
either, but I understand the reference.
got it. Got it.
Um, a different kid asked if she could call us mom and dad.
Excellent. Excellent.
Yeah, it was weird. They're all weird. My girls who were in my homeroom last year are very, very against it, but like it very much comes from a like they're like weirdly protective,
Hmm.
whereas everyone else seems to be pretty for it. So I'm like, okay. And the eighth graders are just glad that that means they can still get a lot of recommendation letters from him because I will be able to get a hold of
Correct.
him for them.
Excellent. Yes. They're like, this is good for us, so keep it up.
Correct. Yeah.
Love it. Love it.
So I mean, I don't know. I'm just this week's been weird because I've been tired because we went back to school
Hmm.
and then we had our weird recording schedule and then the queen died, which was the worst thing that ever happened to me. And I just that's my last week with my sister in town, and so I'm just like a mess.
Look, aren't we all?
Right.
I'm trying to get myself together to leave for a cruise in 4 days, 3 days. I don't know. I don't own cruise clothes. I don't know anything that's happening. I do have a flight booked.
That's
That
good.
is
That's good.
step
Um,
one.
my sister said that she today she goes, just so you know, I'm still mad at Courtney for not using me to do the cruise. I go, she
Good.
didn't plan it.
Look, okay, so I did. Sorry, Brie. I was in a panic. I was in a panic. I don't know what was happening. I was at work and Rachel's like, let's do a cruise. And I'm like, we have been trying to plan this for 4 months. She's agreed to do something. Let's do it. And so I like immediately started trying to book it. And then I booked the wrong cruise. I should have gone through Brie.
No.
Would have made my life much easier. So
Yeah.
instead, I was like, Caitlin, take care of everything because I can't do anything. So in the end, Caitlin has handled everything,
Oh,
and
okay.
it
Hmm.
was not me. I just started the process and then messed it up and sent it away. So
Yeah.
I didn't even think. I'm sorry, Brie. Next time, November. I want to go somewhere. No, the 9th through the 15th. So you want to
I thought
plan
you
me?
were I thought you were coming here.
We don't know where we're going. Remember, I told you it depends on my mom's gonna
Oh,
go.
right.
Yeah. So Bria, and I have no idea what I'm doing. I'd love to go to a haunted, like not a haunted, a murder mystery weekend away.
This one. There's a the apple orchard that I went to with my niece is also a winery,
I know.
and they do spooky stuff.
love spooky things, but it'll be November. I don't know if it'll be spooky still then.
That's true.
So yeah. All right, Bree, get on it.
All right. In lieu of your vacation needs, how can we be spiritual today?
Well, as necessary for every day of our life, if your path demands you to walk through hell, walk as if you own the place.
Fuck yeah.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yes.
That should be your life motto. That should be my life motto. That should just be how we do things.
Correct.
It might
Correct.
already be, but it's fine.
It's pretty close to how I
Pretty close to how we already live our lives.
am.
Sure.
You know who shouldn't be in charge of living a life though? Daniel fucking Jackson.
God bless him. No, correct. Correct. I have a lot of things. I need to speak with him.
So today we are talking about Stargate. SG1, Season 2, Episode 5, titled Need.
Yeah, that's it. That's it. I was like, what is this title?
Um, it was pretty rightly rated only 6.8 stars.
Bless. Yes. Everyone's
Um,
going to get mad again that we're just
mhm,
going off the
yeah,
rails.
yeah. Um, it came out on July 24th, 1998. The number one song was still the Brandy song. The number one movie was The Mask of Zorro. And the most important thing that happened on this day, and really, even if I had found a world event, it would still have been the most important thing that happened on this day. On July 24th, 1998, our Lord and Savior Bindi Irwin was born.
Oh, bless. I love Bindi.
Me
Oh, they
too.
just did a celebration for Steve like 3 days ago or something. Uh, bless.
The world does not deserve the Irwins.
Absolutely not. Literally, like, I think it was 2 Disney trips ago. We figured out they had their own show that had like just started or something. And me and Caitlin and Jamie just like piled up in the bed and watched the Irwins every night. Like we get back from Disney and like we just put it on while we were all like rotating through showers. And it was just magical. It was so
Yeah,
nice.
yeah, I am obsessed.
They're the best people on the planet. They're only trying to make the planet a better place.
Could you imagine the nerding that would happen if I got to hang out with her and Kay Panabaker at the same time?
Oh my gosh. And like she would be just as intense because of how like intense you are about like saving animals. Like she would be just as intense as you were. So I know it would be a great day.
It would be.
Add it to the list of things we need to accomplish in life.
Yes. Um, this episode was directed by David Wary Smith, and the teleplay was by Robert C. Cooper, and the story was also by Robert C. Cooper and a new writer named Damian Kindler. We will eventually see a lot of him. This is his first episode, but he will be with us quite a bit.
I really thought you were going to say he will be with us in spirit. I was like, okay,
Oh no,
that's
no,
fine.
just in life. He writes a ton for this and for the Atlanta spinoff. He's known for writing for Sanctuary, the TV show, and he is the creator of a new show that I haven't seen yet. I actually don't think I've heard much about it. Called October Faction.
Okay, yes, that came out last year.
Yeah.
Um, it's fine. I did
Okay.
watch. I think I watched the whole first season. I watched most of it, if not.
Okay.
The storyline's fantastic.
Right. Well, and
Great
he's not even
storyline,
a episode writer. He created the show. Like he's
right.
the original writer.
Great story for the show. Execution's lacking a bit, but
Mm.
I don't think I would blame that on him because the
Right.
story is very interesting.
Yeah. And then he did also write a few screenplays for American Gods,
Mm-hmm.
which just keeps coming back to us.
Just coming back.
Well, eventually we're gonna have to watch it because I think we've talked about it so much.
Every episode, our most talked about show.
Yeah.
More than any of the ones we've covered.
Right. It's like MacGyver and American Gods.
Yeah.
Are why we have this podcast.
Exactly. Yes. Correct.
The guest star is Heather Hansen. She played Shyla. She's really only known for Stargate. She has very, very few credits, but she was in a movie that I have talked about mistakenly so many times on this podcast. Every time we talk about people who are in quite a bit of a Hallmark or Lifetime movies, I bring up this one Christmas movie that keeps not being the correct movie. But Heather Hansen was actually in it. And it is called The 12 Men of Christmas.
Yes. Yes. Excellent.
Starring Kristen Chenoweth and a bunch of firefighters taking scandalous pictures.
Perfect. Yes, I'm glad we've finally gotten there.
We have finally actually talked about The 12 Men of Christmas.
We have arrived. Do not worry.
But other than that, she really has done nothing.
She looked really familiar, but I
I
also
know she was, you know what? It's that weird 90s pretty. Everyone who is
yeah,
that like weird 90s pretty, they all kind of look the same
truly.
without looking like photoshopped the same. Just kind of like that is what pretty was then.
Yeah. Yes, correct.
Yeah. So we open on a scene of the Stargate team watching a bunch of people, or no, we open, yeah, they're watching. We don't realize that they're watching at first, but it's a scene of someone using the Stargate that doesn't seem to be Gold uh or like the Stargate team. And I was like, oh, someone else knows how to use the gate?
Right. I was like, is this
Question mark.
another alien race? Is this what's
Right.
happening?
And they're sending raw Naquita through the gate.
Yep.
Daniel sees somebody in fancier robes than everyone else and immediately starts chasing them. And surprise, surprise, said no one ever, it's a pretty girl because it's Daniel.
Mm.
So of course it is.
Literally, my next note says Daniel does always connect with the pretty woman.
Um, she is about to jump off a cliff and he stops her because he also cannot help but interfere with everyone's suicide attempts all of the time.
Yep. Which, like, is a good thing.
Yeah, yeah. It's just kind of like happened too many times on the show already.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
there's only been what this is season 2, episode 5. So there's only been 26 episodes of the show ever. It shouldn't have happened this many times.
Right. Yes, correct.
Turns out she's a princess. And her sister was a witch. Sorry, I don't know
That's fine.
I'm not even drinking today, guys. Um, and she's a princess, and so all her guards try to attack Daniel. So then the SG team tries to attack them, and then she tells Jack to drop their weapons because they will just kill Daniel. And
Yeah,
Teal'c's like, yeah, no, they probably will.
that's probably correct. Yeah.
Hmm. So they're brought in front of a king, and he is interrogating them about what Goa'uld rules their planet and who they are. And he's like, I don't believe you. Go to the mines.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Um, so then they get sent to the mines, and our team is having a conversation, and we find out the only like useful bit of information so far in the first half of this episode, really. And that is that one of the new weird powers that Sam has because of Jolinar is that she can sense Goa'uld,
Yes.
which Teal'c has always been able to do, and we've kind of just assumed that it was the Goa'uld in him communicating with other Goa'uld. But even without Goa'uld
The
in
host
the
can.
system, the host can still do it.
Mhm.
So they're like, these people are not, that is not, they're not Goa'uld. The Jaffa are not real Jaffa. Don't really know what's going on here.
Right.
So that's weird.
Mm-hmm.
So then they're like, okay, thanks for this one conversation about some kinds of facts. Now we will escape.
Right.
And then they try to escape and they fail. There's an explosion and Daniel is trapped under the rubble. And it does look for a moment that he is very dead.
Yes. But we know he's invincible, so it's fine.
Right. So we go back to Pyrus, who is what is the king's name, and Shyla, the princess. And Pyrus is like, I don't know these people. They're probably sent here from like another Goa'uld planet. The Naquita is running out. We can't trust them. We don't know anything about them. And Shyla's like, Dad, just like trust me.
But Daddy, I love him.
That's exactly what I was about to say. But Daddy, I love him.
It's literally the approach she took.
Exactly. And then he's like, I'm going to take a nap. She's like, okay, surprise, surprise. Daniel is in the sarcophagus that is just like under their throne for some reason. Um, and I was like, man, how many times are we going to put Daniel in a
Okay,
sarcophagus?
that was like my next question. I was like, what does the sarcophagus do to people? Because, like, surely it can't be good. Granted, we learned more by the end of the episode.
Right.
But I was like, at this point, I was like, there has to be some
Right.
repercussion.
Like, there's got to be some repercussions. This is now what, the
The third time?
third? Yeah, the third time. Because there's the movie,
Mm-hmm.
and then there's the Hathor thing.
Mm-hmm. I did forget about the movie. And then the ship.
And then the ship. So this is the
Four.
fourth time.
Because I don't ever count the movie.
Right. This is the fourth time that Daniel Jackson has, out of necessity, been in the sarcophagus.
Right. And we still don't know what the repercussions are.
Right. Um, so he gets out of the sarcophagus and he's wearing these like fancy royal robes, and she's like, I've taken responsibility for you. And she's like, um,
You're my destiny.
well, before that, she's like, she's like, I'm taking responsibility for you. And she's like, I put you in the sarcophagus. Like, do you know what it does? And he's like, yeah. This is funny. He goes, yeah, I've used it before a few too many times. And I was like, yeah.
Unfortunately, I'm quite familiar with it.
Unfortunately, I'm aware. And she's like acting like she's in love with him. And she's like, I'm going to show you something. Then we get a flash to Jack, who's just like pissed off that they're in the mines and Daniel's
Yeah.
not. Then we go back, and
But they
really it was
also think
just,
he's dead at this point.
yes, they think Daniel is dead. So they're like, we're stuck in the mine. Daniel is dead. Everything sucks. And then we go back to Daniel, and Shyla has taken him outside, and she's like, look at how beautiful these are. We call them trees. And he's like, yes, so do we. And he's like, this is all great. So cool. You're awesome. Where are my friends? And she's like, um, I don't know how to talk to you because, and he's like, is there something bigger? Like, what is, and it's Daniel, and he's awkward and he doesn't know how to talk. And he's just like, can you, are you, and she's like, you're my destiny. He's like, oh, I'm your, oh,
Okay. Not great.
and he keeps like trying to tell her that he's already married, but like never quite getting there
Yeah.
at the
Yeah.
beginning.
Right, right.
But then she's like telling this whole story. She's like, my mom and I used to sit out here in the woods, and she would tell me that the man of my dreams would come to me from another world, and here you are, and you must be my destiny. And I was like, this is literally the plot of every Disney movie. Like, this is the lyrics of Someday My Prince Will Come, but like with aliens.
Yes. Yes, 1,000%. We are still in Disney.
But Daddy, I love him because you've
Yes.
never seen another human male. Like, you don't love him. You love that he's a boy
Right.
who has nice eyes.
Yes.
Like, and like, no judgment, because I definitely was that girl.
Right. And like to be fair, like he's not a bad pick. Like
Right. Like,
I would also
if I
pick
had to
him.
pick a guy to like fall in love with, like on first glance, Daniel Jackson is like not the worst
Yeah,
choice.
of course. But that said,
So then Daniel goes down to the mine, and he's like, hey guys, I'm alive and I swear I'm trying to help you.
basically just like that.
Yeah.
It's just like, cool, hang in there.
And they were like, what do we do? And he goes, listen, I'm gonna have dinner with the king and I'm gonna talk to him tonight and everything's gonna be fine. They're like, oh, okay.
They're like, oh, you get dinner?
Right. And he was like, yeah, I guess it's like a feast in my honor. Jack's like, a feast? He's like, BRB.
Yeah.
So then we go to this feast, which is not really a feast. It's dinner for 3 people.
Right, right.
And Daniel's supposed to be schmoozing the king. And he just starts like calling him out on every shitty thing that he's done. And he's
And
like, so what you're saying is you killed like a wolf, but then you like kept your people as slaves and acted like a huge dick because like you could?
right. And
And the
like,
king.
while a very different story, it's the exact same concept from the last episode. We have a guy who wants power, so he's now in control of everyone, and he's like taking people because he's like, you don't have any other options. You can only do this.
Yeah,
And it's like baseline, it's the same story.
it is. It is pretty, yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, not great. Not great, Stargate.
No, 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 no. Also, how many times is Daniel gonna have no tact and put them in situations that they shouldn't be in? Because as the member of the team that's supposed to be able to have diplomatic skills rather than military skills, he has none.
Right, correct.
Like you think about it, their team, Daniel's a scientist. Sam is both a scientist and in the military.
Mm-hmm.
Jack is all military. Teal'c is military and alien cultural expertise. Where is their diplomatic envoy? They have.
Yeah, no.
You are like, we're going to meet these new cultures and have these new worlds and have these conversations, and you don't have a single person on your team who knows how to be diplomatic.
Right, right.
And granted, I get it, like SG9 is a diplomat team. Clearly, we saw that guy who was
Yeah.
a piece of shit a couple episodes ago, but like,
That doesn't help SG1 when they're in a new planet.
cute. Um, but um, he's like, let my friends go. And Pyrus is like, actually, since you're such a dick, kill him.
Yeah.
And Shiloh's like, don't worry. We won't actually kill them. I'm not gonna let that happen.
Like, don't worry, that's like not actually gonna happen.
And he's like, okay, but like I can't stay up here when they're down there. Like I have to go help them. That's not fair. And Shiloh's like, can we just have like a little bit of time? Like we will win him over. We just gotta get there. And he's like, sure. Sure. He agrees, but he clearly doesn't believe her.
Right, right, right.
Um, and then she's like, oh, you don't want to kiss me. It must be because you need more time in the sarcophagus. And he's like, I feel fine. And she's like, yeah, but you're like not all the way better.
Right. So,
Because
good move.
that's how that works.
Yeah.
Um, and then we see that a flash to SGC where Daniel has sent a radio telegraph that's like everything still sucks. Everybody's still trapped in the mine. Still working on it. See ya.
Yeah. Right. No answers. Be back one day, maybe.
Maybe. And then it seems that Shiloh's brainwashing Daniel through the sarcophagus. We don't understand yet what is happening, but it's definitely like the more he goes in the sarcophagus, the more of a prick he is.
Yeah.
Or like the more willing to follow what she says than anything else.
Mm-hmm.
Like he tells them that he called SGC to let them know that they need more time and that he like will take care of it. And Jack is like, you can't, we need help. And he's like, you know what? You don't respect me. I was like,
Yeah.
why do you sound like my 8th grade boys right now?
He's like, you do know we're dying in here. Like, they just talked about that they're not eating and they're constantly working. Daniel Jackson.
Yeah. And so then it's a water break time, and Jack and Sam and Teal'c are sitting there just slowly dying.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam all of a sudden like wakes up from a vision where Jolinar in her head was telling her that the sarcophagus is actually really bad and the chakra don't use it
Hmm.
because it takes away your soul.
Hmm. Hmm.
In order to heal you, it removes pieces of your soul.
Which is super inconvenient.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I mean, like, think about how many people don't really have a soul to begin with.
There. Like, could you
And
imagine if you put Voldemort in the sarcophagus? Like, he's just a little piece of soul
he'd
everywhere.
finally have a nose, though.
True. True. Get a nose. But, like, how would they even. But, like, that would take the little piece of soul he has to create his nose. That's, like, all he has
Right,
left. So, like,
right.
yeah. Hmm.
And at this point, Daniel, I think he said he'd been in the sarcophagus 10 times since getting to that planet, not including the
Right,
first
right, right.
three.
Yeah.
So
Quite a bit.
Daniel summons Jack from the mine, and he is like lounging in the throne and acting like a complete like piece of garbage.
Hmm. Hmm.
And he's like, "Don't worry, I'm getting you guys out of here." And they're like, "How? What?" He's like, "I agreed to marry Shyla, and I just told her that I have to go home and get some things in order, and then I'll be back. And so, like, I'm getting you guys out of here." And there's like almost this like moment where it feels like he might just be faking the doucheness.
Yeah. But it's just
It's just
not enough.
not enough. Yeah. Yeah. And Jack doesn't believe it either. He's like, I literally, what?
Yeah.
Who are you? Um, and she and his dad, or Shiloh's dad, is like, what if this is not really gonna work? What if he just takes them and doesn't come back? And she was like, he will come back because he can't live without me anymore.
Yeah. And I was like, oh no, that's not good.
No,
But
no.
that also made me think of whenever they were the robots or whatever from that planet and they kind of go back to that planet to be that way. And I'm like, this
Oh,
is a reusable storyline again. We like have put something in
or like,
one
where was it the one where they like started passing out as soon as they got through the gate because their like life source thing was on the other side?
yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Yeah,
Oh, okay. I thought there was another one where something else happened similar.
probably.
Okay.
The crystal one.
Oh, yes, the
Yeah.
crystal one.
So it's kind
Uh,
of a reused storyline again. This one is
yeah.
not very new or unique.
And then they go to say goodbye, and Shiloh basically is like, "Goodbye, all. We are friends now." And everybody's like, "The fuck we are."
Yeah, like I don't think that's how that works.
And Daniel's like, "Oh, I am."
And I was like, Daniel Jackson, you are married. And unfortunately, he responds to me. I was married, had
Um,
a wife.
so they go back and they're in the med bay, and Daniel is being kept in the med bay because his scans are absolutely fucking bananas.
Mm-hmm.
And Sam is like, dude, your scans are a mess. Like, you need to calm down. He's like, no, I need to go back to Shiloh. And Sam's like, what about Shara? And he's basically like, fuck her. She's gold now.
Yeah,
What?
he's like, she's never coming back.
Yeah.
And like, that's truly like what we've been working towards.
Right.
Like, what is our mission now? If that's, I mean, sure, find new technology, whatever,
Yeah.
blah, blah, blah. But, you know,
Yeah. And Sam's like, everything that you're doing right now basically feels like drug withdrawal.
yep,
And he's like, I'm not a junkie. And she's like, they kind
maybe
of are.
though. Maybe though, yeah.
So then he they're like telling Hammond about the craziness that's happening. And Daniel responds by trying to resign. And he passes out because his body's literally going through drug withdrawal.
Right, right.
And they're like, what do we do? Like, do we take him back? Do we put him back in the sarcophagus? What do we do? And Sam's like, just hold on.
Just let him be for a second.
Right. Like, she's like, if you that's what happens when your body goes through withdrawal. Like it has to get so close
Mm-hmm.
to death that it then figures its life out. Like it's not, you can't, you can't just find an answer.
Right.
So they're watching his scans and it seems like he's starting to like level out and come back and everything. So Dr. Fraser goes to give him more sedative and he attacks her and then like beats the guard to a pulp and runs away.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And Jack chases after him and they end up in a supply closet fighting.
I was like, this is a very dangerous room to have a physical altercation in. Like, I
Yeah.
don't know what all these liquids are, but also like it's a supply room. It could be cleaning supplies, and if you mix those, you die for certain ones.
Right.
Like, this is not a great room to have a fight in.
Yeah. And then, as if the chemicals weren't enough, Daniel pulls a fucking gun on Jack
Yeah.
and then finally has his full breakdown and just starts sobbing and crying. And Jack is like, okay, I got you.
And as beautiful of a person as he is, he's an ugly crier.
So bad.
It was rough.
So rough. Um, and oh, and so then they say that they have to go back and get and bargain for the ore.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, is that really a good idea for you to go back there, sir? And he's like, yeah, like I have to.
And he's like back to himself again enough that
Yeah,
yeah, he's right.
yeah. So then they go back and he sees Shyla and she's like, I didn't think you were gonna come back. And he was like, well, I'm here. She's like, you never loved me, did you? And he's like, I care, or else I wouldn't have come back. But no.
Because I'm married.
And then he tells her, like, you don't have to be your father. You don't have to rule through fear. Like, you can be better, and
Yeah,
we will help you do better. But the first thing you have to do is
free these people.
free these people and get rid of the sarcophagus.
Yeah.
So they destroy the sarcophagus, and then the episode ends.
Yeah.
And
So
I feel like I just sped through that in like 15 minutes. But to be fair, this episode was really not that good.
it didn't have a lot happening either. And like, I did we ever figure out, are these just regular people that are on another planet that have been
Yeah.
using sarcophagus? Are they
Yep.
alien species?
Nope, they're just people.
I wasn't sure, and it wasn't very clear. And it's just like, I don't know, it was
Yeah.
nothing happened. And everything that did happen was from a previous storyline that they've already used. Like,
Yeah, it was definitely definitely rightfully as low as it was.
yeah, and like I feel like the only reason for this episode was to learn about the sarcophagus and its effects.
Yeah,
Like
basically. They
fine,
just
but
they
you could have
just
done that in a better episode. Like you didn't need this particular episode to do that.
I really don't know why they felt the need to teach us that in this way.
Yeah,
But I will tell you that somehow this is not the lowest rated episode of the season.
great. I can't wait. What was it rated?
6.8.
Oh, good. Excellent. Can't wait.
To be fair, the lowest is 6.7,
Yeah, but still.
but still, it is not the lowest episode of the season, which doesn't mean it's not the worst.
Yes, correct.
Um, there's two trivia pieces.
Ooh, I love some. Yeah.
When the guard in the beginning asks Jack to kneel, and he says he can't because he starts talking about his knee injury. That is actually because Richard Dean Anderson does, in fact, have a really bad knee injury from when he played hockey as a teenager.
Hmm.
Um, Jack, when he sees Daniel laying across the throne, he calls him the man who would be king, which is a reference to the Sean Connery and Michael Caine film, The Man Who Would Be King.
Hmm. I've not
Um,
seen that film.
well, basically the story is that there are two men and they're best friends, and then one of them becomes the king and becomes so brainwashed by his own power
Mhm.
of being king that it ruins his friendship.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense.
Yep.
Everything makes sense.
That's really it for trivia, and there were no goofs, at least not documented on IMDb. I'm sure there were goofs.
I'm sure.
Uh, but yeah. So who who do you want to punch?
Daniel.
Yeah,
I mean, I know it's not all his fault,
yeah,
but
yeah.
still.
I would like to punch Shyla
Mm-hmm.
because it's bad enough that she did it to Daniel, but
Right,
she continuously put her father in the sarcophagus despite it making him a meaner and meaner and meaner person.
right.
No, I'm not okay.
But to be fair, he is 700 years old. She's a normal age. And so he was
Well,
doing it
no,
for way
we
longer.
don't know how old she is. She says she's considerably younger than him in comparison, but she could still be 100 and be considerably younger than him.
Yeah, but she said she hasn't had to use the sarcophagus for life expectancy to affect her
Yeah.
life.
Hmm.
I figured she
So
probably,
she's just like a dick on her own.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Oh, cool.
yeah,
Love to see it.
right.
Who's your MVP?
Jack,
Yeah, I love that.
for sure. See, I mean, he like is the only reason we got through this, I feel like.
Mine is going to be Sam for giving us this actual sarcophagus information and for being the only one to look Daniel in the face and say, "But what about your wife, bro?"
True, true, yes.
So there's that. Sorry that this episode sucks, guys. It's because the episode itself actually sucked.
It was really short, but it just, I mean, there's nothing to talk about. What do we do
No.
when there's nothing to talk about?
Yeah.
So I don't know. Works out for us because that means I get a little bit of time before I go to work. Get ready, but it's fine. It's
It's
fine.
fine.
Um, we
Mm,
still love you though. We love
yeah, we
Stargate.
love you. We do love Stargate. It's just
It's not this one.
this was a weird episode.
Was weird. The last couple of episodes have been weird. Like this one
Mm.
and the last one felt.
This one and the last one, I will say the last two.
Yeah,
The
not before that, but like the last
the first three of the season were really good, and then
really.
4 and 5 are not so good.
Yeah,
But
they're like off topic. They're off and unnecessary.
spoiler alert. I'm not actually spoiling any details, but I will say spoiler alert. Next week, episode 6, super good episode. So,
So stay tuned. It's gonna be a good one.
it sure is.
It took me a second. I was like, what happened? And then I remembered. Yes,
I'm
yes.
so excited to talk about it.
Me too.
But Courtney needs to go on a cruise first.
Look, it's necessary.
Fair. Fair. So, yeah. If you also thought this episode was weird, or you know any more examples of shows where But Daddy, I Love Him is the plot line, please send us an email at deathandaliens@gmail.com or talk to us on any of the social media at Death and Aliens. You can follow me everywhere at EMKAY_superstar.
And you can find me at CE Cloud 13.
And we will see you on Thursday for Thriller Thursday.
See ya.
Bye.